Cave Dwellers, and thank you Neil for having me today. For my tea submission, I can think of a few suggestions to mention, and although they may seem common or still new to other people, I'm basing this on my experience of retro gaming. That said, a few notable shoutouts in my mind would both be Tailspin and Toy Story for the Sega Mega Drive. The former is a fun adaptation of a classic cartoon, and the latter, which stuck in my mind, is an unfairly difficult adaptation of a great film. At least it did for a 7-year-old me. But they aren't what I want to focus on today. Now, what could I do for tea that I'm really passionate about? Could it be this twin Light Blaster Famiclone thing? With a weird joystick? Or could it be the Sega Namco Nintendo Triforce? Maybe, if I had NetDim to actually load games onto it. I think when it comes to a game or series of games that I'm really passionate about, that I've always followed and owned many times in different formats, there's only one that truly jumps out. And for this demonstration today, we'll be only needing one screen and the good old PlayStation 2. And one of these.
There's been a kidnapping. It's Rachel, the daughter of the president of Sertia. Get into the castle and rescue Rachel.
Sometime, somewhere, someone is plotting a government overthrow. A small republic is in danger. It's time for the one-man army. Richard Miller. Just to be sure. Wild Dog. Time Crisis.
Time Crisis. A timeless classic with cheesy acting and fast-paced light gun action. What more could you want? Although that intro was courtesy of the arcade version, which when comparing the two side by side, you can really see how good the arcade games look compared to the PCs and the consoles of the era. Even if the PS1 version is half as graphically good, the fun is still the same. Blasting away enemies in quick succession, hoping you don't get shot by the Reds. Yeah, the original release was much harder without the red markers that were included in later games, in my opinion. However, whilst I do love Time Crisis, my absolute favourite game and today's submission has to be the much-loved sequel.
It's all over. Time Crisis 2.
This follow-up has to have been an example of taking an original formula and upgrading every single aspect.
Keith and Robert. What the?
It keeps the same familiarity of the first game, but with all the benefits of the upgrades it brings along with it. The red markers of fatal shots, updated hardware and graphics, the greater variety of enemies and animations, split screen play involving either two players in one screen or just using this cable. Whilst this bag says it's a USB 2 cable, it certainly isn't. This is called an iLink cable, and when used with two PS2s you can enable true dual screen 2-player gaming, and it's a blast. But the best of all the new features, especially when playing the arcade version with working 24-volt recoil guns,
Machine gun action!
We gotta stop them now.
Action! Reload!
and speaking of the arcade version, in an Uno reverse style, this version shows when consoles and PCs finally caught up to the arcades. In this side-by-side, although the arcade version is using incomplete emulation, you can just see how the models are smoother, there are higher res textures, and the effects just look so much better. The arcades from this point on would end up using console or PC based hardware and no longer stood out as much.
That fool, Yakov! How dare he fail?
And instead opted for physical gimmicks that you couldn't get normally at home.
Machine gun!
Time Crisis 2, however, does bring an arcade game home that you couldn't normally play, and in my opinion is worth owning the game outright. It was an electromechanical game called Quick and Crash.
Hello there. Let's start the game. Keep an eye on your aim and do your best. Level 1. Ready? Ready? Go! Oh, great! Try harder at the next stage. Level 2. Ready? Go! Not bad. Well, the results aren't so good. Level 3. Ready? Go! Whoa, excellent. Well done. You are ranking well. Level 4. This is the final phase. Shoot the cup. Ready? Ready? Go! Oh, great! Let's look at your overall ranking. Wow, way to go! You're almost in the top ranking. We await your next challenge.
Yeah, my aim is poor. I would highly recommend looking up this quirky shooter from Namco. I'm yet to see another game where you can literally shoot a cup and it explodes into fragments. No joke.
Nice try, boys. It's time for you to say goodbye. I shall
For me, Time Crisis 2 is a game that somewhat started an addiction, a thing that its sequel Time Crisis 3 only strengthened. And whilst there have been other entries into this series, such as Time Crisis Project Titan, Crisis Zone and Raising Storm, and including the new Time Crisis 5, which still hasn't seen a home port, these two remain in my mind still. They are what led me to collecting the games and the hardware that you can see on the screen now. There are still videos on my channel where I had the original arcade gear for Time Crisis 2 and Crisis Zone, and despite all the costs that they brought along with them, I haven't regretted buying them. So that is my submission for today. I hope you all enjoyed it and I highly recommend you give this series another look.
Time Crisis 2.
Your project is going down in flames. They'll be here soon.
But for now, back to you, Neil.